Well, no wins in 8 games now for Crystal Palace, but a respectable point nonetheless against Liverpool. And it might well have been more than that. After a strong finish to the game, we can hear from Mark Gahey now with Patrick Davison.
Mark, well played. Happy with that, or feel like there was even more in that game for you?
I think the team did well. I think it was a performance that we could be proud of. You know, Liverpool are always a tough side to play against. A little bit of disappointment just because we felt like we could have nicked it at some point in the game. But I think all in all, it's a good performance.
Do you think in both halves you grew into the game?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you play a team like that, I think it's important to start well in games. I think we did that today.
Start solid?
Yeah, we had a good opportunity, you know, in the first half as well. I think a couple my header, JP's strike, and then I think it carried on in the second half. So I think as long as we can build on this performance, I think it's a good thing.
You want to tell us about the header? It was a good opportunity, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a good I think I was a bit put off by Jeff a little bit.
Let's blame Jeff, yeah.
No, I'm not going to blame him completely. My head, I think I should probably do a bit better. But yeah, it is what it is.
In terms of Liverpool going forward, do you feel like you controlled them reasonably well, actually, considering the talent on show?
Yeah, I think in parts of the game we showed, you know, good composure to stay on the ball. I think in previous games, you know, we've lacked that sometimes. But I think today we managed the game a little bit. It was a bit frantic at times. But I think in the right moments we did control the possession and allowed us to move forward with the ball.
So in terms of performance, did it feel like a decent step forward, actually?
I mean, when you play a team like Liverpool, regardless of what form they're in, I think it's always positive to get at least a point, you know. And I think today in front of the home fans, like I said, we could have nicked it. But, you know, it's important that we build on this. I think that's the most important thing.
Just another point. What happened at the end? Why did it all get a bit rowdy?
We wanted another corner. We wanted another opportunity to try and score.
Sorry, I missed it.
I don't know. I think it was time, but,
was, yeah.
You know, if he clears it out for another corner like that, I think it's important that we at least try and get another opportunity.
So how do you feel about the form in general at the moment? Obviously, it's a bit of a run without a win, but performances like tonight against decent teams suggest you're in a lot better shape than 8 without a win.
Absolutely, I think you're right. I don't know. I feel like sometimes we feel like we could do a little bit better. But, you know, the Premier League's a tough league. Every team you come up against is really tough, and they make it difficult for you in each game. I think we're steady at the moment. But I'll reiterate what I say. I think it's important that we build on this performance. Maybe
just a couple of lads up top, good players who just need a goal, a bit short of confidence maybe?
It'll come. The boys are working extremely hard, but I've got no worries, it'll come.
Well played.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well done, Mark.
Good to hear from a really positive Mark Gahey. And they should be, shouldn't they, after taking a point off Liverpool? It hasn't happened very often at Selhurst Park.
Well, no, it hasn't, but that's 5 draws in the last 6 games. They just need to start taking a few more risks, turning those draws into wins, and it'll all be rosy at Crystal Palace. I thought it was a really nice interview.
I'm pleased Will Zaha didn't play today. Honestly, the way Liverpool defended, and you felt that they could have had a special moment, someone like him could have unlocked the door. And I think with Liverpool right now, it's just that's pretty much the performance I expected from them. They're fragile, their confidence is extremely low, they're not playing with any real freedom right now. Clean sheet is obviously a plus, because when you concede 5 in midweek, you're obviously going to have to really dig in and get something out of it. But it's tough times at the moment, and they've got to dig in and get performances. I wouldn't say it's a point game, because when you look at the teams around them, like at Spurs, would think that was a good result for us today. Because I think probably they thought Liverpool might have got 3 points today. But right now it's just about slowly building that confidence back again.
Do you think Palace have missed an opportunity then, based on that?
I think Patrick Vieira would be delighted with a point. You'd always take a point against a Liverpool side, but it can go there and hurt you, because you knew as well that they might come down there, they're wounded. But I think that was probably a fair result. Liverpool had a spell in the first 15 minutes of the second half. It looked like they might get a bit better, but then it sort of petered out a little bit, had the odd chance here and there. But they didn't really do enough. They didn't do enough, and right now that's just where they're at. You know, there has to be, we talk about in the summer, there has to be changes. But when you can't worry about that, you just have to think, how can we try and get in that Champions League this season? They still have a great chance. It's a lot of games to play, lots of points to play for, and I think once they almost get through this little bit of spell and start to build again, I do believe they will get better as the season goes on.
Palace might think that the Lady Luck is looking somewhere else right now. The incident with Brentford last week, conceded late on in that game and dropped 2 points, and tonight they've denied victory by, well, in the end, a couple of inches. Mateta comes very close.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I think that probably Liverpool beg to differ with Jordan Henderson's block from Trent. But yeah, I mean, this moment here, I mean, as a striker, first and foremost, hit the target, make the goalkeeper work. Like I've said, when you miss the target, you've done you've earned the goalkeeper's wages for him for the week. That's the way I always looked at it. And here, I mean, Alisson's not even set. He'd give Trent Alexander-Arnold sort of an angle to clear the ball. So the goal was pretty much empty. Get it on target, keep it low and hard. You put your side 1-0 up just before half-time, changes the whole complexion of the game.
Do you think Mateta is the right option right now in the continued absence of Wilf Zaha?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he brings a physical presence. He unsettles defenders. Sometimes he can be a little bit raw and a bit erratic with his finishing, but that will come in time. Like we heard Mark Gay say, he has got confidence in him. But without doubt, Wilfried Zaha is that missing link for Crystal Palace and that an enigma that they really need to pull away from any danger they're in.
When you look at the quality they have, though, Glenn, you know, you look at Elise today, I thought was the best player on the pitch, certainly for Palace, and they have Zaha when he plays. The quality that you as a striker, someone yourself that could just used to love little chances, half chances like they make. You just need someone that's just going to put the ball in the back of net. It feels like.
Yeah, but they're hard to come by. Huh? I mean, we look that there's been a resurrection of the number 9 in the Premier League, hasn't there? But Crystal Palace haven't got one really. Mateta, like I say, he'll rough people up and he'll get in between the sticks, but he just lacks that probably a little bit of finesse, I think. And like you say, Crystal Palace will always create chances with likes of Eze, Elise and Zaha when he's fit. They just need that man that's clinical in the middle to be able to put those chances away.
Feels like they've been looking for an awfully long time, doesn't it?
Some would say.
Glenn Murray hung up his boots. You said Liverpool didn't quite do enough,
No.
Jamie.
No, they didn't. They had a few half chances first half, but there wasn't ever really that moment. This was when you've got someone like Mo Salah. This is where you're waiting for something just to go the other side of the bar. He just tries to caress that one into the corner. If that goes in, you just felt they would be in the ascendancy. Harvey Elliott did make a difference for the first 20 minutes when he came on. And you just waiting for things to happen. A little bit with Gakpo, who's done okay since he's come there, but that was just one that he just couldn't quite get last. He had a very similar chance last week when he just managed to score against Newcastle. The keeper does ever so well. Nick Pope couldn't quite get out there as quickly as what he did there, and that's
is that
one
what
of those.
really takes the chance away from him? The speed of the goalkeeper, do you think, off the line?
I think Salah's pass problem just got a little bit too much weight on it, but you've got to give credit to Gaeta. He comes off his line very brave, very decisive in his movement. I mean, you can see as his ball's played, he's already coming.
Isn't it really? This analysis that we're showing, it's bits and pieces. Their expected goals figure, Liverpool, was the lowest they've had this season. It's under 1 tonight.
But that's what when you've suffered like that, such a humbling defeat, everybody's talking about you in the eye of the storm. I never for 1 second expected Liverpool to come out all guns blazing, playing with a bit of style and flair. It was never going to happen today. It felt that if they were going to win, it was like a scruffy 1-0 or something to go their way. You looked at the midfield that they started with, with Keita, Henderson, Milner. There's not really anybody that's going to conjure up something special, a clever pass. It wasn't that kind of game. As the game went on, you're just hoping that Salah might produce something magic, but it wasn't to be. They weren't at their best, Liverpool, and it pretty much sums up the whole season for them.
They were, go on, Glenn.
So I was just going to say, I think you looked at the substitute bench, and they didn't really have too much firepower. He brought obviously Firmino on and Harvey Elliott, and they didn't have the impact Jurgen Klopp wanted, did they? And that's when you do miss the likes.
He brings on Fabinho for Trent, who you think Trent might be able to cross, do something. Unless he's got a little injury which we don't know of. He's maybe a player that can unlock a door of a cross. But that's the problems they have right now. Trent in the first half a couple of times defensively was so poor. He gets caught out. He got caught out for the chance earlier on with Mateta, and then also played a square pass that could have cost his team. They're not, and it's to a man right now. They miss Konate, I think, defensively. But the good news is, and I'm sure that Jurgen Klopp would talk about it, is the 3 clean sheets in the Premier League. That's so important. They are a better side with Virgil van Dijk. He's not at the level that he was of the last few years, but that will come. He needs games and confidence.